Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Demonland podcast. My name is Andy, and joining me, as he does each and every week, Grapeviney. Good evening, Grapeviney. How are you?
I'm excellent, Andy. Thank you.
Well, the streak has come to an end. Our record-breaking, or our attempt to break the most quarters won in a row came to an end, and I felt a little bit sad at quarter time. We had got ourselves back into the game. That was good, but I don't know. Well, how did you feel about not continuing on our winning quarter ways?
I'd forgotten about it, to be honest, and I was just grateful to, as you say, be back in the game at quarter time, given the way it started in those first sort of 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we'll talk more in depth about the game, but yeah, I think maybe for me it was a little bit more personal. I've got a couple of nephews who are Geelong supporters, and as we all know, they hold the current record of quarters won, and it would have been a nice feather in my own cap to be able to take it to them post-game, but wasn't to be. But we'll move on. We'll talk about that a bit later on, because shortly we're going to take a break and we'll bring on our special guest tonight. We're lucky enough to have James Harms joining us shortly. So before we do that, we might just quickly talk about, and if we don't have enough time, we'll continue it later, but Queen's birthday and the fixture in particular. Eddie Maguire announced this week that he wants to wrestle that back from us, meaning the home games being our home game. And he was generous enough to give us that home game on a blockbuster while we were struggling, and now that we're not struggling anymore on and off the field, that he thinks it's time to... does he want to share that with us, as in not share the receipts, but 1 year on, 1 year off, or does he want it back to make up for lost time?
No, it'd be a 1 year on, 1 year off arrangement. But I don't know, is that better than gate sharing it? And Melbourne, having to say the home fixture and the use of its facilities. Well, and then giving Collingwood half the gate. I mean, that serves the purpose, doesn't it? But
well, they probably also want the the home as well, in terms of members getting the facilities as well. And I've got no problem with doing it a year on, year off, but I would like it to coincide with our Anzac Eve fixture. So the year we have the Anzac Eve, maybe Collingwood has the Queen's birthday, and then just swap it around, because we probably need that big one. Or alternatively, if we're not going to be able to have that, then perhaps the AFL can give us something in return. Perhaps the first Friday night of the year against Collingwood, maybe, or against another big club. And we were talking before off air about the Neil Danaher MMD. Perhaps maybe taking that away from the Collingwood game and going with Essendon, because they've got a bit of a stake in there too with Neil Danaher.
Yeah, that's the suggestion of FND on Demonland, or Far Northern D, which is, I reckon it's a good suggestion. Collingwood, their supporters, at least some of them, whinge about being involved in the MND cause when it's got nothing to do with them.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because there's many people suffer from that. It's not just the face of it in Danaher.
Collingwood stupidity. Yeah. But I do like the idea of having it going forward as an Essendon match, because one, it could generate a bigger crowd and focus and energy for that game, and turn it into a bigger game each year. And obviously, the Collingwood games are going to be big drawing games anyway, so it wouldn't affect those games. And it's interesting you talk about playing Collingwood on the Friday night in round one. I think we actually lobbied the AFL for that game this year and didn't get it. And Glenn Bartlett was in the Australian either yesterday or the day before, saying that we wanted that fixture again. So there's a few competing narratives going around about what's going to happen with Queen's birthday and in the Collingwood fixture generally. Peter Jackson was also quoted, and he seemed to be at odds with Eddie. So I don't think it's resolved yet.
Yeah, well, that's I guess it's a watch this space type of thing. I just had a look who was the Friday night first Friday night game of the year. Obviously, Carlton and Richmond kick off the year on the Thursday night, but Adelaide played Essendon Friday night this year, and there's not really any rivalry between them. Look, Essendon made the finals last year, sort of, I won't say by default, because we should have been there. I think that first Friday night probably should be a block, but whether it's Melbourne and Collingwood or Melbourne and Essendon, I don't know, it should be something that's a bit of a blockbuster.
But from the AFL's
rivalry
perspective, they need to spread them out over the year, and I think you can have sort of blockbuster fatigue. Yeah. And there's a lot of games early in the season, just because that's when the public holidays fall. Anzac Day, I've had Anzac Day dream time, and at the end of this weekend, Queen's birthday already, as well as Easter, and the sort of the novelty of the first round. So I can understand the AFL's reluctance to perhaps schedule a massive game on the Friday night when the Thursday night game is still such a big drawing game. But you'd think that if we, finish high up the ladder this year, and Richmond are obviously going to, you'd think that as just part of the draw, in that you play the teams in your part of the ladder, you tend to play those teams twice. You'd think that the AFL will probably schedule a second Richmond-Melbourne game next year, which we haven't got this year.
Yeah, well, we haven't played a couple of big teams twice in a while. We never play Essendon twice, it seems.
No.
Anyway, I think what we'll do now is we'll just take a short break. We're just going to get James on the phone, and we'll be back. We'll be back in a moment. You'll hear some what you were hearing pre-show, and we'll be back in a moment.
Better movement this. Glass it long. Put it down, Harms.
Well, they've gone small when they're forward line.
That's why. And gathered his own crumb. He's got Neil Bull in the pocket in a paddock. He gathers. He can give it. Harms, sidestep. He's got his own ball. Short towards half forward. Here goes Harms again. He might kick number 3 for the quarter.
Yeah.
He should kick number 3 for the quarter. And he does kick number 3 for the quarter.
Our guest tonight has played 55 games for the Demons since making his debut in 2015. During that time, he's lined up in just about every position on the ground you care to name, with stints down back, up forward, on the ball, and even in the ruck. He's a passionate D through and through. Welcome to the Demonland podcast, James Harms.
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's not a problem, James. You couldn't have come on the program at a better time. The team is flying with 6 wins on the trot, and you're playing the best and most consistent footy of your career. What do you put your good form down to?
It's a great time to come on, isn't it? 6 in a row. So I'll just say probably the group's, really confident at the moment, and I guess a lot of the younger guys are starting to play some good footy, and I think we're just starting to link it together and building a real confidence around the club and within the group, and we're just really excited about where we can go.
You were nominated for Mark of the Week this week, James, for that screamer against the Dogs. Have you got the family and friends working the AFL site overtime with lots of repeat nominations for your good self?
I wouldn't call it a screamer, but Mum's been all over Facebook and sharing it around, and my aunties and my family, they all love getting around that. But definitely not a screamer by any stretch, I wouldn't have thought.
It was still a great mark. As we mentioned in the intro, you've played in just about every position on the ground, including the ruck. So kudos for that. Where do you think your best position is, or are you happy to just embrace whatever role that Goody and the coaches assign to you? Because the flexibility and versatility seem to be an important commodity in the football department's eyes.
Yeah, I did play a couple of games just as pinch hitting in the ruck, which, not going to lie, I didn't love it. But yeah, probably at the moment, I probably see my best footy as inside mid. But it's pretty hard to crack in there when you got Bynes and Jonesy and Clarry and Gussie starting to come along. So at this stage in my career, I'm probably inside mid, and then if I need to go down back or go up forward, then I'll just play my role for the team.
Hard running is sort of a feature of your game. Have you sort of focused on that specifically, or sort of worked on that specifically? Because, as I say, it seems to be a real feature.
I guess a little bit.
Running both ways, I guess.
I've probably gotten a bit fitter, a bit leaner, so I feel like I'm covering the ground a bit better, and I'm not one of the standout runners in pre-season, but I don't know. I guess over probably the last 5 years, built my tank up and feel like I can run out an AFL game pretty well.
Jake Lever's unfortunate knee injury on the weekend means the backline needs to be rejigged. There's a number of possibilities at Casey who might come in to fill that role. How do you see that playing out? Or can, Michael Hibberd take over Jake's role and someone come in and play the role that Hibbo's been playing? You're good in the air. Can you do it?
You go, mate, sorry.
You're good in the air. Can you do it?
I don't know if I can do it, but yeah, it's obviously really disappointing hearing the news of Jake's knee. But, with that negative comes a positive that someone else will get the chance to stand up. And I reckon it might be Jolie Smith. He's really athletic. He's played a few games, matured over the pre-season, playing some good form down at Casey. But if not him, probably Frosty, and then, allow Hibbo to drop off a bit more, and Frosty will probably play a bit more lockdown.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've got a massive game coming up on Queen's birthday. It's almost like a mini final, given the crowd you'll be playing in front of. Are the players using the disappointment of the round 23 game last year as any type of motivation, or have you moved past that and left that in the past?
I think probably left that in the past. We're pretty motivated each week just to go out there and win anyway. So we don't need a whole lot of motivation. But obviously it's going to be a big game. It's probably going to be 80 to 90,000, and it's an MND game for the Queen's birthday. So it's a big one, and I guess it is kind of like a little final. We've got Collingwood who are going pretty well, and us as well. So it's going to be a great challenge, and the group's really excited, and it should be a good hit out.
James, Jesse Hogan's one of your good mates at the club. Tell us a bit about him and how he's going, because he's not only having a sensational season, but it looks like he's really enjoying his footy this year after what was a pretty tough 2017. Sorry.
Yeah, Big Hogs. Yeah, he's going well. He's having a great year, and he's a great fella. We love to get down and go for a surf here and there. We haven't been down for a while because there's been no waves, but he loves his surf and he loves his PlayStation. He's a real good fella to be around, and it's great that he's having a great year. Last year was really tough for him, and I'm really happy for him, and hopefully he can keep that up because he's a big part of the way we play.
James, you're part of a midfield that includes one of the best handballers to emerge in the game for a generation. Tell us a little bit about Clarry and how his game impacts those around him, and how do you accommodate a player like that, and his ball-winning ability and just incredible hands. Does that like influence the rest of you?
Yeah, he is a jet, isn't he? I remember on the first day of pre-season when he came down to the first day, he was doing it since then. So we've always known he's had the great talent, and even last year you've probably seen a lot of it. But yeah, it's very easy to read it when you see Clarry going near the ball because he never fumbles, and he's got great vision, and yeah, he's, as you said, a very good handballer. So if I see him going near it, I'll start to pull out a bit because I know he'll get the handball on me.
Yeah. James, it's our understanding you grew up a Dees supporter. Who were your Demon heroes as a kid? And, did you manage to get to games every week, or were you playing your own junior footy and you didn't always see Melbourne? How was that growing up?
Yeah, as a kid, I did support the Dees. My favourite player was probably David Meats or Travis Johnston when I was growing up. But I actually, as a young fella, I got to go to a fair bit. But as I was, 16, 17, I was playing TSC Cup, so it was hard to get down. So when I actually got to Melbourne, it's a bit sad. I actually didn't know a lot of the players, so I hadn't watched much of the footy because I used to play a lot of TAC Cup games on Sundays, and so did the Dees. So it was hard to watch games.
Well, you're living all of our dreams. What was it like getting drafted by the team that you barracked for? And does that hold like an extra meaning, like when you don on the jumper or sing the song after a win?
Yeah, well, draft day was I obviously missed out on the national draft.
Yeah, you were a rookie. Yeah,
and I knew that the Dees are pretty keen on me. So going into the rookie draft, I wasn't too sure. My confidence was a little bit down after missing out on the national draft. So, but I remember just sitting there behind the laptop, and obviously because of the rookie drafts on the internet, and I was home alone, and I clicked refresh on the page, and there was my name picked to Melbourne, and I honestly couldn't believe it. I was gobsmacked, and then told Mum, and Mum started crying. Rang Dad, and it was a pretty special moment to not only myself but my whole family. And then pulling on the jumper every week. Both my pops were Melbourne supporters, so I give my number a kiss to them because they're up in heaven now. But I do that every week, and it's just something I've done since day one. And I'm really proud to pull on the Melbourne jumper, and I hope I can do it for years to come.
You mentioned the kissing of the number. Was there any significance of why you changed to number 4? Did that have any significance with that?
No, not really. Mine's Josh Mahoney from manager for the football club. He just asked me one day in pre-season if I'd want to change to number 4, and I kind of always wanted to keep number 43, but I'd been wearing a higher number since I was 16, so I thought, maybe I'll give a lower number a try, and I think it's going all right for me so far.
Oh, it certainly is.
Absolutely. After you were picked up in the rookie draft, you got a frank assessment from Paul Roos and Josh Marnie midway through the 2014 season, essentially telling you to shape up or ship out. Tell us about that and how you went about implementing sort of professional standards and an attitude and things like that.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a talking to in my first year. I was probably just, an 18-year-old kid who just come out of school, and to be honest with you, I probably wasn't ready for AFL footy mentally. Physically, I probably was, but mentally, I didn't realise how hard you had to work, and how much it changed from TSC Cup to going into an elite environment. And then Nathan Jones played a big part in helping me, get my career back on track. And I still thank him to this day. And the things I changed, I probably just started doing extras around the club, asking more questions, and just trying to every day get the best out of myself.
You also punctured your lung while you were at Casey, which kept you out for a while. As a rookie trying to have an impact and make an impression in your first season, how disappointing was that?
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. It was, probably just more frustrating. As you said, I was a rookie. I was on a 1-year deal, so I was trying to play as much footy as I can. I just, had to deal with it and work hard. And, didn't get his crack at AFL that year, but lucky enough got another contract and then got my chance that next year. So it was a little bit frustrating, but not really too disappointing.
In your final season of TAC Cup footy, you received the Most Determined award, something which, certainly from a supporter's perspective, we can see has shaped your career at the Dees. How hard was it to break into the team, and how do you feel sort of pressure now, given the competition for spots, when you've got players of the likes of Jeff Garlett and Dom Tyson who are playing at Casey?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. It was super hard to crack in, but I always said to myself, once I crack in, I never want to lose my spot. So I don't know, every week when I go out there, when I pull on the jumper, I just want to give it my all and give the coaches no excuses. And so, what was the second part of that question?
How do you feel pressure to sort of keep your spot?
Definitely feel. I don't feel any pressure when I'm playing, but there's definitely pressure within the selection because there's obviously a lot of good players playing at Casey this year. But I feel like at the moment, I'm in pretty good form, so I don't feel like I've got a lot of pressure on me, as in the way I'm performing. But I know if I do slip up in a game, then probably the pressure will start to build because, as I said before, there's a lot of good players coming up through Casey.
Yep.
James, you've got a brother, Jack, who plays for the Dandenong Stingrays, and I believe he's debuting that this week. I read that somewhere. Is that true, that he's debuting this week?
Yeah, he debuted last week, so he debuted on the weekend. Yeah, so he's had a bit of an up-and-down start to the season, a few injuries, but hopefully he can hold his spot in there and, you never know what could happen. Maybe come end of the year, we could have another Harms on the list. Well,
that was the next thing I was going to ask you. What's his prospects, and is it possible that he'll follow in your footsteps and become another in a long line of brother combinations that the Dees have had over the years?
Definitely, anything's possible. I think he just needs to get a bit of confidence and get a few good games under his belt, and I'm sure he's could be a good chance, but at this stage, he probably just wants to play some good cut footy and get a kick down there.
One last one for you, James. Tom McDonald joined a long list of players to re-sign this week. Where are you at in terms of sort of contract talks with the club, and when can we expect you to ink a new deal too?
Yeah, it's good to see Big Tommy sign on again. I'm in talks at the moment, so my manager's working through that with the club, and I'm sure that'll get done sooner rather than later. But hopefully in the next couple of months, I'd say.
Good stuff.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Well, James, we really want to thank you for joining us on the podcast tonight. Thank you for giving us your time, and we look forward to seeing you for the rest of the year. You're playing great footy at the moment, and it's just great to see. So good luck for the rest of the year.
No, thanks heaps, Andy, and thanks, Jason, for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, mate. Good luck, and we'll speak soon. Cheers.
Go, Dees.
See you, boy.
All right, that was James Harms. That was a great interview. Really honest, and it seems to be really enjoying his footy at the moment. And great.
Why wouldn't he be? He's playing good footy. The team's playing great footy, and he's playing for the club that we all love. So he must be loving life.
Yeah, like I love hearing, when, knowing that a kid barracked for the, he's playing for the team that he barracked for as a kid. As I said, he's living all of our dreams. We all dream that one day we'll play for the Dees. I'm over 40 now, and I'm still dreaming about it. And it's not going to happen now. But
probably not. No.
Anyway, maybe if I play a few good games, maybe they'll draft me.
But he's doing well to get a run in that midfield rotation. As he said, he's not first cab off the rank. He knows that. But when he goes in there, he's going all right, Harmsy.
Yeah, he certainly does. Having a great year, and I'm enjoying watching him play. And I think he was a bit. That was a bit of a screamer that he took. I think he was playing that down. I got excited. Yep. I jumped out of my seat. We'll talk about the game now. What did you think? I was a bit nervous early on. Things weren't really clicking in the beginning. But I will say... they
got a stack of free kicks early,
so I was just about to say that. Look, you're never going to blame the umpires for losing you a match, but they did everything possible in that first... First of all, we weren't getting anything, and they were getting everything, things that I didn't even think were there. And I'll tell you who really, really annoys me is that Razor Ray. Did you see him? He called quite a few free kicks, being not only the second umpire away, but sometimes the third umpire away from a contest. And I don't know. What do you think of umpires doing that?
I think I'm generally not an umpire basher, but I think there's merit to the theory that Razor Ray is a bit of a look at me, and he feels the need to insert himself into the game. And there's too many whistles to full stop. And then you see things like, I don't know whether you saw the stats differential, the free kick differential over in WA for West Coast versus St Kilda over the past 4 years or something. And it's like 95 to 39.
Well, that's the crowd aspect to it. But when you play Melbourne Western Bulldogs at Etihad Stadium, we probably had
there were more demons.
That's right. There were more demons. So that's not happening here. But I get the West Coast one because we always get a terrible trot, whether it's in Adelaide or Western Australia. And then even when we're getting more free kicks, the crowd just gets even more feral, and then the umpires start the old evening up thing. So it does affect us even when we're getting on top with the free kicks. But when it's in Victoria and there's, we'll see it, there'll be more Collingwood supporters arguably on the weekend or Monday. But yeah, it doesn't happen as much in Victoria with two Victorian teams.
Anyway, that wasn't the main thing on the weekend.
It wasn't.
As you say, early on, things just weren't clicking for us. The ball wasn't bouncing the right way, and all those little things that have really gone our way the last few weeks were just off a little bit. Couldn't capitalise on the forward 50 entries. But look, we still found a way and still managed to kick 15 goals. Was it 10?
I think? 15, 10, 100. I was praying, like when we didn't
get to 100.
Yes, so when we didn't get the quarter record, I was just hoping we'd get over 100, and I think Jesse ticked it over to 100 with that point on the siren. So thank you, Jesse, for at least hitting something. I wanted him to kick that 6 because I want him to win the Coleman medal. He's playing very good footy at the moment. I agree. I want him to win the Coleman as well. It's going to be tough with Ben Brown sort of, he's playing in a team that's winning games at the moment. But Jesse, considering the amount of time that he plays up the ground, that's got to factor into, just how good he is. And he's still kicking goals. He's kicking bags of goals.
And his kicking is really good this year.
Yeah, it's when was it? Was it 2 years ago when his shots, he had that bit of a stutter to run in. I think that's all gone now. And usually when he's got ball in hand, you pretty much know that he's going to kick a goal. Kicked an absolute ripper, and he could kick two. He kicked that banana from the boundary, but also that one. I think we got it on Demonland as the video of the week feature where he kicked it, from an extremely tight angle, and I was a little miffed that he didn't get in the goal of the week because I really thought it was a
great kick.
Yeah.
And did you see that his opponent was mucking around with Gawn?
Yeah.
And Gawn's just pointed and said, Jesse's kicking a goal. What are you doing, you idiot?
Yeah, I was speaking to a Bulldogs supporter that night after that, and he wasn't a big fan of them drafting or trading for or however they got in the as part of the free agency, getting Trengove, the other Trengove. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Jesse, fantastic. Tom McDonald just Jesse, since Tom McDonald's come into the team, so it's just allowed Jesse as well. Remember when we had that issue of Jesse going up the ground and not being able to kick to Jesse Hogan?
He's now got Tom McDonald to kick to.
That's right. So it's just
they're both so strong in the air at the moment, though. Like they're both taking, 8+ marks a game. And I think one of the videos that the AFL put out on the weekend was, Melbourne's aerial domination or something.
Yeah.
And it just had a suite of Hogan and McDonald highlights.
Well, Jesse's
working beautifully together.
Jesse taken 10, Tom's taken 11 in this game. And another stat that I saw, I was really impressed with Bailey Fritsch. Every game this year, he's just getting better and better, and his aerial work's great. He's such a slight guy, but he takes some ripper marks and, can compete well in the air against bigger bodies. And I'm super impressed with him. Had 26 disposals. He's just really relishing playing up the ground. I thought he'd be, just a forward for us, sort of a bit of a replacement sort of for Watts. But his work up the ground on the wing off half back is just fantastic, and what
he's
a pickup!
A lot of the ball, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's unusual for newbies to get so much of the ball.
Well, he's just slotted. He's
right amongst it.
He's slotted into the team just so well, and what a blessing that, that we had this guy at Casey sort of, fell into our lap, and we were able to snap him up in the draft and wrapped with him. Neville Jetta, I think he put another stamp on his resume for All Australian selection.
People are saying
this year.
One of his best games ever, which is a big call because he's played a hell of a lot of good games. But it's definitely up there.
100% it was up there. Did all the Neville Jetta stuff and that he does all the time. And one of the reasons last year we were a little upset that he didn't get a nod at the end of the year for All Australian. But he's put his hand up this year, and if he continues, then almost be criminal not to be selected. But
I notice Robbo didn't have him, nor did Gary Lyon.
Oh, Gary did it. No, I think Gary did have him in his midfield, his mid-year. He didn't?
No.
Okay.
No, but he sort of said he wanted to, but he'd been given a list and Jetta wasn't on it, I think.
Well, doesn't he make his own lists?
Yeah, which seems a bit weird. But
so Robbo, we'll talk about that list now. It's just one journo's opinion, and so he.
Everyone likes the fact that you called him Slobbo.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was his nickname. Is that not his nickname, or is that just our nickname?
No, it is, but I think they think it's... we must be enforcing the censor world because they think it's a censored word, perhaps.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever...
They like the fact that it's got the Demonland stamp of approval.
I was thinking, well, maybe I should change it, but then, you know what? I don't think I've ever punished anyone for, not that I like, and look, I don't like, and I don't like to have to moderate heavy-handedly, and we step in when we have to, but look, I thought that was an accepted nickname for him. But
it is.
Anyway, I was surprised at his team. Look, I understand. Look, he didn't have Gawn in there at all. And Grundy's had a great year this year. And I'm not saying that Gawn should be in and Grundy should be out. But is there space for two ruckmen in a team like that? Particularly two ruckmen who have been playing great football? Or do you think this was to sell papers? You know, they always have one controversial thing.
No, I think it's going to be controversial. You've got 18, you've got 18 clubs and 22 spots. So invariably good players are going to miss out. So, there'd be supporters from other clubs who'd be whinging about their own players missing out.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I think
we're not the only ones.
Gawn and Grundy, they're very neck and neck, so you could swing both ways on that. So
what did you think of
Nev? Is a bit of a surprise, but Rory Laird, as a lot of people acknowledge, is having a good year for Adelaide.
Yep.
Taking up one of those back spots. I think Hogan. So who's in there? Jesse and Clayton.
It's just Jesse and Clayton, but they're named on the bench, and you could easily have both of them on the field. Look. What's his name? Lance Franklin has missed a lot of footy this year. Jesse hasn't, and Jesse's been great all year. It's not like he's just had a purple patch now. He was racking up lots of possessions earlier in the year. He's been kicking a lot of goals of late and still racking up those possessions. Very stiff not to be on the ground,
100%, because he could play in any of the forward spots, basically. You could name him in the forward pocket or on the half-forward flank or at either of the key positions. But Chris Chardon, talking footy the other night, no, not talking footy, footy classified, said that Jesse's is arguably the best player in the competition at the moment, as in the number one form player at the competition.
And look, we can back that up with some stats. I'm just going through to the Demonland Facebook page, which you can follow at facebook.com/Demonland31 if you're not already doing that. While I'm just searching for that, I'll take this opportunity. You can give us a call if you're listening live to us now. We've got over 120 people listening, 130 now listening live. So if you do want to give us a call and discuss any of these issues, 039016 3666. That's 039016 3666, or get on Skype and find Demonland31. We'll take your call. So I've got some stats to actually back up Jesse versus Darling and versus Ben Brown. So Jesse, he's second on the goal kicking list behind Brown. I think he's 4 goals behind Brown. He's equal with Darling on marks. I think they've got 78 something marks each apiece. He has 30 more marks than Brown, 60 more disposals than Darling, and 100 more disposals than Brown. Now, surely that gives him a position on the ground ahead of both of those players who are having fantastic years. I'm not taking anything away from them. But look at, those stats are
Darling's going to be out of the equation now because he's out for a few weeks.
Well, I'm talking about this mid-year All-Australian team.
Yep.
Not that there is such a thing, but... Look, same marks as Darling, 30 more than Brown, and Brown has a stack more free kicks, 4 as well, that I can put in there. But 30 more marks than him and 100 more disposals than Brown. I mean, who would you prefer in your team?
Brown's a stay-at-home full forward, and Jesse's...
Who would you prefer in your team? Well, I think it's a stupid question to ask us, this question, or anyone listening to this podcast, and... But, yeah, I find sometimes you have to look at some stats, not just who's kicked the most goals. And there's not much of a difference between the two in terms of goals kicked this year.
No, I'd love Jesse to win the Coleman. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I prefer to keep. Look, someone said when I was a little bit. Oh, we do have a caller calling in, so maybe we'll take that, and we'll get back to Jesse in a moment. Good evening. Welcome to the Demonland podcast. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
Hello, guys. Hey.
Hi. How you going?
Good. Don't make me angry.
Oh, don't make me angry. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic.
So what can we do?
Yeah, this all Australian team. You know the Demons. We've always been hard done by. Like when we made the grand final in the year 2000, we only had Jeff Farmer make the All Australian side. So it's just the way it is, and we just don't make All Australian sides. We never have for years.
But why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we make it? I'm not accepting that we've always been hard done by, because I know we have always been hard done by. But we've got the runs on the board so far this year. Why isn't Jesse on that on the field?
Oh, it's disgraceful. I've seen other. It doesn't seem to be in anybody's starting lineup on All Australian, but it's the narrative for the last 6 weeks. We've beaten nobody. We've only beaten the bottom sides. We've beaten an Adelaide side with all their stars out. We've had an easy, soft draw. It's all those, and that's what most people still think, "Oh, we haven't played anybody," but like I always said, it's not who you beat so much, it's how you beat them.
Well, exactly.
Like last year, we beat the same teams last year, but we beat them by 2, 3, 4 goals at the most. Our biggest win last year was 56 points against the Doggies, whereas this year, most of our we've got an average winning margin of over 40 points, and that's the biggest in the competition, I think.
That it is. I don't buy that the narrative of especially with the Adelaide game, that they had all those players out, because we dismantled them. We beat them nearly by 100 points. Certainly, GWS didn't beat them by that much this week. So give us a little bit of a credit.
Yeah, I don't agree with the narrative either, but that's but the thing is, if we lose on Monday, you know what they're all going to say? Yes, told you so. Told you so. Melbourne's no good. They just played lucky. They were being lucky. You know the way. So we have Monday. We've got to win to get the credibility. We have to win Monday. We lose it Monday, and it'll be a little bit of crisis for a couple of minutes until we start winning again. You know the way it is with the Demons. Oh,
I do, mate. I've been running this website for nearly 20 years. I know it very well. But this week is a really important game for us. If we can get a victory out of it, we start to get that credibility against an opposition that a bit of the media darlings. They're loving Collingwood at the moment, the media, and I don't see who they've beaten that's been as impressive. That's been so impressive either to not get the same treatment we're getting from the media.
Yeah, well, they've beaten exactly the same teams we've beaten, but we've beaten those teams by 10 goals plus, and they've beaten by 20 odd points. They only beat Saints by about 25 points. They only beat the Dogs by 25 points. So we've beaten the same teams, but we've thrashed those teams by 10 goals plus. And they've, even Adelaide, they beat Adelaide by 40, but we didn't beat them by 90. So every win they've had, we've doubled it or tripled it,
Yep, but we've got to do it this week against them, I think, and then maybe people will start taking a look.
Yeah, and I think Harms was not telling the truth there. The side will be burning this Monday. That will be, do they need motivation? No, we're playing pretty well, but if they don't come out firing and laying 50 tackles in that first quarter and absolutely burying every single Collingwood player in the ground every time they tackle, every time Pendlebury gets the ball, Viney should just make sure it's his mission to drive them into the ground, It's a bit like early in the year, what's his name? Gary Ablett was lucky that Viney wasn't playing in the first round because I'm sure Viney would have buried Ablett early on in that game, and there's no way we would have lost if Viney was playing because Ablett is, whenever he plays against Viney, he doesn't want to go near the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else? Don't make me angry. What's making you angry this week? besides people not selecting our players.
Yeah, and Neville Jetta. It's just. But I was listening to SN the other morning, and I swear that Gary Lyon did say he put Neville Jetta in his back line because he definitely deserves to be in there. It's crap that he didn't make the late. He's been the best small. He's been the best small forward back pocket player for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep, you're not going to get. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I'm just clicking on a link about Gary Lyon and Nick Del Santo's mid-year All-Australian teams, and Grapevine, you are incorrect. They've just named their backline so far, and Gary does have Neville Jetta in the back pocket.
Well, he didn't on the couch on Monday night.
This is on SEN's website, so perhaps he
different teams for different outlets.
There you go. But Nick Del Santo did not have Neville Jetta in the back line.
No.
Well, there you go. All right, don't make me angry. Anything else?
No, I'll just leave you with one thing. Go Dees.
Go Dees, mate. All right, you getting down there on Monday?
No, I don't think I can make it. I'm up here in Echuca, so I can't get to many games.
No, that's all right. Well, you'll be watching on TV, I'm sure.
Yes, I'll be watching on TV. And Clarry's from up here too, from Echuca. His family's from Echuca here. Clarry is, but anyway. So just go Dees and hope we pump those pies. Yeah,
from your lips to Clarry's ears. All right. Thanks, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Don't Make Me Angry. Always great to chat with Demonlanders. If you want to join us, you can call us 03 9016 3666. That's 03 9016 3666, or Skype us, Demonland31. You can also join us in our chat room that we've got going at demonland.com/podcast. If you're signed up to Demonland, you can get in straight away and chat with us. If you're listening to this via the podcast, either through SoundCloud or iTunes, join us live each week on a Wednesday. And speaking of the podcast, next week we will be chatting with none other than Paul Roos. So that should be a great conversation. I'm looking very forward to that. And then the week after that, I won't announce it yet, but we've got another special guest coming up the week after that, and we'll leave it hanging there. Grapeviney, other players, Clarry, Angus Brayshaw, both had almost 40 possessions apiece. I think it was 39 and 38 possessions. Both of them just...
Clarry was probably a bit cleaner with his than Brayshaw.
Yep.
Some of Brayshaw's were a bit wayward, but that's a bit whingy because he was really, really good again and getting a heap of the footy. And I haven't seen the numbers, I don't think, but I think getting a lot of metres gained as well.
I don't have on my stats sheet here the metres gained on there, but... Clarry is certainly, gets a heap of contested possessions. And,
And there was a great kick on the weekend where he was at just outside 50 and he had no space at all, but he spotted Hogan in the square and put it on his chest, basically. So super stuff. He's just... continues to be a delight to watch and is in all Australian form, Brownlow form, whatever you want to call it.
He's not really in the in any of the top
awards.
5. None of them. He's not getting in coaches awards. He's in there, but not sort of top 10-ish. I don't know. I still think he could be a
award.
smoky. Sometimes there's those couple of those players that aren't in any of those awards but do get the umpire's attention. So it'll be interesting come Brownlow night to see how the umpires view Clarry, and he's certainly getting a lot more attention now from the media because there was that article in the Herald Sun. I love the headline of it, Weapons of Mass Distribution. He's starting to get a lot of people, saying that he's as good as Greg Williams was, and, he's still a young kid, and, sky's the limit for him.
Yep.
Anyone who else impressed you on the weekend? Anyone else? Everyone is sort of contributing. It's hard to sort of pick anyone not sort of pulling their weight or doing sort of the things. Maxi once again.
It's funny because we were really sloppy at times, and there were some terrible kicks inside 50 and things like that. Yeah, we still won by 49 points. So.
Yeah.
I found it a bit discordant after the game, as in I found a lot of the game frustrating because sort of the polish and the composure perhaps of the previous weeks wasn't there anymore. So, and then you look at the score and we've won by nearly 9 goals. So,
do you put any of that down to the shorter break that we had over the Bulldogs, the fact that we played on a hot day in the Alice? That's all got to contribute to it. And I'm glad we've got a 9-day break or whatever it is till our next game. I know Melksham sort of... Did you see the incident with his ankle? Did you happen to see that? It looked really bad, but it sounds like he's going to play according to Misson, and we'll talk about any potential injury list later. I felt
in reverse, levers look so innocuous.
Well, yeah,
knee hardly moved.
Well, that can sometimes be the case with those kinds of injury, and I think I felt quite flat after the win, largely due to the fact that I was quite negative, and I sort of knew he was going to be gone for the year, even though a lot of people were sort of holding out a little bit of hope that maybe it wasn't as severe. But I felt quite flat, and not that I felt like a loss after it, but it sort of left me a little bit hollow, knowing that we've got such a great player who's not going to be there. And he is an important player. I think we can, obviously we can replace the position, but we can't replace some of what he brings to the team. There's a stack of leadership, and I watch him sometimes, and in the last few weeks, and he sort of marshals the troops quite a bit. He's a leader. He positions the players. He will point to tell players to go on the other side of the ground. Sort of marshalling the troops, and we're going to miss that on the field.
Yep. I mean, we sort of have to go back to our 2017 defence, don't we?
Yeah.
And at various times that had Hunt, and, Hunt was in there most of the year, but, Frost was in for periods, and Joel Smith before he got injured, so...
Well, it's interesting what James Harms said. He, I don't know, Joel Smith, so I don't know if he's saying that from any inside knowledge, or, I don't know how much the players would know about that, but,
The other one is Wagner could come back in, and then Hibberd sort of does the intercepting.
Look, no one's going to be able to replace Jake Lever, but we do have a bit of depth, and I don't think it's going to be as devastating. I don't think all of a sudden we're going to fall into a heap. And if our midfield keeps on getting, and that's another thing, we didn't get a stack of. We got smashed in the clearances actually in this game. But still managed, as you said, win by 50 points. So, yeah. Anyone else? I was just about to say before Maxi, I was, 57 hit-outs again, and just some of the marks he takes around the ground is it's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, yep. What were Jack Viney's numbers in the end?
Jack had 22 possessions, 9 kicks, 13 handballs. So not huge numbers, but I don't know, just his presence. His presence in the team is sort of I don't know. He had a much quieter game than he had the week before, but yeah, still. We're a better team with him in it.
Jonesy had a good 250th.
He did. I loved the goal that he kicked. I love that he kicked a goal.
It was a captain's goal.
It really was a captain's goal, almost on 50. Just gun barrel straight. And all the boys getting around him was just great. Towards the end, I was hoping that he'd get another. Like, there was a few times he got the ball in the forward 50, and I was hoping he'd kick another. Wasn't to be. All right, we'll move on from the game. We had everyone sort of did their bit, and we'll move on. Tom McDonald's re-signing, that's huge. Were you expecting it so soon? We knew it would come.
I didn't expect there to be any issues with it, and I don't expect there to be any issues with any of them. So great. 4 years is great. It'll take him into the sort of twilight of his career. And by all reports, we don't know what the number was, but by all reports, he didn't hold the club over a barrel. So he's agreed to a reasonable sum instead of demanding the world. And a great clubman for that and other reasons. So, yeah, the form that he's in.
Look, I think these guys realise...
In 6 weeks, he and Jesse have kicked nearly, I think, 38 or 39 goals between them.
It's pretty impressive. I think these guys realise that there's something special brewing, and they want to be a part of it. So yeah, that's great. Probably could have asked. Considering his form, probably could have kept it going for a bit longer, got a bit more, and
could have waited till the end of the year because it looks like he's going to have a blockbuster season. So the fact that he doesn't look like he's gone shopping around to put his price up and things like that, I think it seems like the club is negotiating in very good faith with all of the players, and in return the players are sort of bought in, basically.
Yeah, well, that's great. It's certainly different from the narrative at the beginning of the year with the whole camp thing, and there was rumours that Goody wanted to resign, and people were saying, players aren't buying it. Yeah, look
and also
happened.
That there was division among the players. I mean, there's no evidence of division among the players, and there hasn't been all season, even when we weren't winning games. And you can't play the kind of team football that we've played, and there be divisions in the side. So I've never accepted that. And just to talk about that journo, Tom Norris, and
is it Morris or Norris? Morris, isn't it?
Is it Morris? Is it? I thought it was Norris. Anyway, he said on the couch the other night that Leon Cameron had also, who coached from the bench on the weekend, had also been demoted to the bench.
Isn't he the captain? Isn't he the coach?
He's the head coach.
Yeah.
All he said was that it was done by the quote-unquote GWS hierarchy. And Roosie and Gary Lyon and John O'Brien didn't really believe him. And I thought to myself, how many clubs is this one story going to keep happening at? Well,
didn't we have confirmation about the McCartney thing, that it's not? Well, like, we've had confirmation that he wasn't.
Yeah, it was in the Herald Sun last week or the week before. So, yes,
but that simply wasn't true. And yes, clickbait. Yeah, it's great. So who we've got to still sign up this year? I guess the two. A couple of major ones. Brayshaw, I think, probably want to lock away, and considering his form of the last couple of weeks. And then I guess Oscar.
There's Nev and Oscar.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
Nev too. I can't see us. I can't see Nev holding us to ransom. He'll want to be a part of it.
Nev is due a fair payday too.
Yeah,
and I noticed
he's
in
worth
the
it.
Neville Jetta contract thread, and I think it was Sons of Norm Smith suggested something like 360 to 380 a year for Nev over 3 years, and I thought that is criminally low for one of the best. Well, probably the best small defender in the competition, one of the best defenders in the competition. So,
we've spent half a
there's
program.
no way he's getting 360. I can tell you that. It'd be on more than 360 now.
Yeah, look, I have no idea about that, but we've spent most of the program saying he should be All-Australian, so you got to give the guy what he's worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as you say, don't expect Nev to hold the club to ransom,
No.
You got to give the man. You got to give the man his worth, and Nev's worth a fair bit.
Yeah, yep, certainly is. I saw, this week there was a thread on Demonland about Ollie Wines, and he's holding off contracts. But we can't. How can we get him? We'd have to trade for him, and unless it always people get stupid and say, "Oh, we'll give him a couple of Casey players for him," but that's not going to happen. We don't have the currency. If you don't want to give away a good player for him, we don't have the draft pick to give them.
I'm sick of hearing about Ollie Wines. Do you know, I tried to...
I wouldn't mind him in the
There was
team.
an Ollie Wines thread about a month ago, let's say, and I tried to just link it back to another Ollie Wines thread, which was sort of one page off the main page.
Yeah.
And there are 10 Ollie Wines threads, and they get created every about 3 weeks. And someone's like, "Oh, Ollie Wines hasn't signed yet. Wouldn't it be great?" Someone then talks about Tompus and the whole decision. Someone goes into Neil overruling Todd Viney, which of course is basically a Demonland myth. But you're right, we don't have the currency for Wines, but also he's not first cab off the rank.
No.
We don't need another. Look, you can never have too many inside mids like Wines, but Gaff is the one they want. Gaff is the one we need, not Ollie Wines.
Yeah, and it seems like we're going to be up there to get Gaff, so that'd be fantastic if we can pull off something like that in the off season. So, but look, we got a lot of water under the bridge to go to till we get to them. But I think I don't think there's any point in even discussing the Ollie Wines thing because I see no way we could get him. We got no draft picks to give them. I don't know if we should be giving them up even if we had them at the moment when there are free agents available. Quality.
Yeah, I don't think the club's thinking that deeply about Ollie Wines, to be honest.
No, neither do I. Well, Casey, I don't know if Drunken 167 is about. I don't think
he's about tonight. He's usually in the chat room.
Yeah, usually he is. I know he does work some Wednesdays. So, Drunken, if you are there, give us a call in. This is the time to do it. I didn't see the Casey game. All I can go by is what I've read on Demonland during the week. Do you have any insights? What did you read? Like in terms of who, I guess we've got one change that's got to be made, and that's a defender to replace Lever. Well, we know who it's going to be or who's in the running. You've either got Smith, Frosty, Wagner, Hunt, any of those guys they might bring in to replace them. I can't even say who's been out. I know that Smith has been doing all right and Frosty's been doing okay down at Casey.
By all accounts, Frost didn't have a great game on the weekend. So, yeah.
Well, I guess
I tend to think Smith will be the man. because he is meant to be strong in the air. So,
yeah. Well, they've got Collingwood, with the exception of Cox, don't have, and I'm not sure what is Darcy Moore back for them yet.
No.
I know he is injured. I know it's
I don't
hamstring.
think so.
I think it had that he was test, but I don't know. But Cox is their big man. Other than that, they've got a smaller forward line. So I don't know if Frost will come in. Do you know how Hunty's been playing? I don't know
Not
if
sure
he's
on
been.
the weekend, no. But yeah, Hunt's definitely a possibility.
Well, other changes in terms of
I don't think so. No.
like, would you?
I mean, who else is going to?
Well,
Who else is going to miss out of that side?
Well, every week everyone says, well, are we going to rest Spargo yet? Are we going to rest Hannon? Look, neither of Hannon or Spargo lit up the board in terms of possessions, 13 and 11, but still do, I think Spargo, every time he gets the ball, he does something nice with it.
And he works bloody hard. His
does.
defensive game is really strong.
Yep.
There was, Channel 7 reported Mitch Hannon might be struggling to come up.
Yes.
Can't remember.
D. Zephyr in the chat room has just said, Hannon in doubt. Someone has posted that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get up, Garlett or Bug. So,
God, I hope it's not Bug.
well,
I'd much rather Jeffy, absolutely.
Well, Jeffy, I'd like for the it's a big occasion. Sometimes he rises to these these big games. I've pulled up. I think it was Baghdad Bob wrote on the Casey thread. He's given a little paragraph on each player. He said about Bug, not a good day for the Bugster today. He's not impacting when he's forward and not finding heaps of it when he goes on the ball. So you would think, based on that, it's not going to be Bug. Jeffrey Garlett, he said, played like an opportunist cat today, seemed to continually want to do will-o'-the-wisp type things, and on occasions he did, but it's hard to see him fitting into a hard-running, tackling philosophy of our AFL team. So
it doesn't fit with the Goodwin mould, does it?
So neither of them. Let me just... we've got Harley Ballick. I'm not sure how he's been doing. This is Baghdad Bob saying, I've been impressed by him since I saw him play against Frankston in the practice match in the pre-season, and today was another good, impactful game. He was a target of 2 or 3 attempts by Williamstown to hurt him off the ball, and he copped a lot behind the play attention, which I heard was a staple of Williamstown's game. He's got good skills and knows how to find it, but the only query on him is pace. He's not slow, but he's certainly not fast, and he will make it at AFL level if pace isn't a deal breaker. He has the knack of finding the ball with time, but I just don't know how that will translate itself to AFL. It will be interesting to see how he goes if he gets the opportunity. So Ballick's another one there. I'm not sure what the situation is with Tim Smith. He hurt his neck. He did come back on the ground after that. Didn't trouble the stat sheet that much, but could be down to the neck injury. But Wiedemann, this is Baghdad Bob, pretty much unsighted early, but worked his way into the game and ended up being a fairly good player. It was a tight contested game where clean entry into the 50 was not common, and he did most of his good work up the ground and on the ball, rucked for periods of the game and competed well, but didn't really impose himself at ball ups. So again, I don't know, nothing I'm reading here about some of the players to replace the forwards is whetting my appetite. In terms of Jaden Hunt, got lots of the ball, and it would appear he's been told to take the game on at every opportunity. As a result, was caught often and turned it over often, and you could see frustration on his face. Yep.
Yes.
So that's that.
Selection's always interesting.
Yeah.
With Simon Goodwin, and I don't think. Well, we've kept an unchanged side for a few weeks, but it's usually interesting with Goody. So this week will be very interesting.
And look, we do have a longer break, so we can rest up some of those guys. Someone on Demonland was down at training today. Gave a training report. Were you able to see that?
Yep.
Said, just pulling it up now, a few of the players were in the light duties. Jack Viney, Melksham, he wrote Joel Smith, but I asked a question whether it might have been Tim Smith, considering the injury. But if Joel Smith is on light duties, does that preclude him from being in selection? Mitch Hannon, Christian Salem and Tom McDonald were all in that light duties group. This is Kevin Martin. He said vying for the Jake...
Otherwise known as Kmart.
Kmart, yes. So vying for Jake Lever's position looked to be either tall or small. Dion Johnson, Sam Frost, Petty Harrison... no, it's Harrison Petty. Harley Ballick. Oh, I don't think Harley would be vying for that position. Hunt and Wagner, all having extended training and being the last off the track, along with Deck, Kelty, and Lachlan Filipovic and Sam Wiedemann. So it looks like a few of those Casey boys were having some extended training, which is, you can obviously see why, considering that some of those guys are in contention this week.
Yep.
Be interesting selection this week. When do we find out the final teams? Probably not till Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, so watch this.
Got to wait a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's all right. I watched the Dave Misson injury update, and he said that Kent will be back after the bye. Mentioned that Vandenberg will start sort of with the main group training this Sunday, but will take a while to sort of build up that fitness. But that's a good sign. I'd like to see him, at least back at Casey at some point in the back half, and maybe pushing for another spot. But probably his last roll of the dice if he gets injured again. You'd probably say that's it for him.
Yep.
Anything else, Grapevine, you want to talk about?
Dave Misson mentioned Corey Maynard.
He did mention him. He said, now I'm drawing a blank, but he said, I think he said that he is back in rehab training, but I think it's indefinite still at the moment when he'll be back. Very disappointing for him.
Yep.
There's a lot of players in that midfield that are playing very well at the moment, and with him injured, not even getting a crack into the.
And I mean, he was near the top of the waiting list at the start of the year,
yeah.
And now he effectively goes back to the back of the queue, doesn't he?
Yeah, certainly does. Anything else on Demonland caught your eye this week? Any interesting threads? Anything you want to talk about?
No, not quite at the moment.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Great show next week because we'll be speaking with Paul Roos. So very excited about that. Yeah, and everyone get down to the G this week. We need the support. I got an email saying all the reserved or the guest passes have sold out. So
MCC's tipping 79.
Did you think that's a little bit low?
Yeah, I think it'll be above 80.
Yeah, you reckon they're pretty spot on most times.
Yeah, although they were out by about 10,000 on Anzac Eve. They said 87. I think it was 77 in the end, wasn't it?
What's the weather forecast?
It's meant to be nice on Monday.
Yeah.
So I actually think it will be 80 because Collingwood are up and about.
Yeah, they'll all get
So
down there
are
for
we,
sure.
so-
Yeah, Melbourne supporters get out when we start winning. So
And I'm pretty sure we got 70 last year, or perhaps 72. And Collingwood weren't travelling well at that stage. So,
well, I read our biggest crowd was for these Queen's Birthday games was in 2006. Well, no,
that's
2009.
the most recent.
No. Go ahead.
No, because Melbourne and Collingwood set the all-time
Yes, that was
home
Queen's
and away
Birthday.
record
Sorry,
on Queen's Birthday.
I think maybe they were mentioning the biggest. Have we? When was it that we had this deal with Eddie? I think maybe they were talking about that since.
Yeah, I think it might be in the current incarnation of the game.
Yeah.
That's the biggest crowd.
Anyway, that'll.
Because we've been irrelevant for 10 years.
Yeah, I forgot about
So
that.
there was that whole period.
Isn't it nice?
And they've been irrelevant for a few years.
Yeah. Well, isn't it nice to start being talked about again? I mean, for years was watching all these football shows, and the only news we'd hear about us was how crap we're going, or whether it was off-field issues, or coaches being sacked. But it's nice, even though I don't think we're getting the credit we deserve yet. It's nice to be in the conversation.
Just one for the punters out there. Ethan Tremblay says that the trains will still be down with replacement buses again.
Yeah, well, I'm not making that mistake.
But he lives in Perth, so...
Well, I'm sure he does read social media. He's probably seen...
Well, what, he's keeping up to date with Victorian public transport.
He
Ethan,
might follow it.
declare whether this is a nonsense post of yours or whether you are indeed up to date with the Public Transport Victoria schedule.
Well, I don't know if I made. Did you? Were you aware? I know you're on a different train line to me. I had no idea that they were doing works. Maybe that's my own fault for not.
Got a die check every week when I take the train.
Really? I just assume that they're going to work. I get to the train station.
And find out then.
Saw a sign saying replacement buses. I got on a bus, and it took me an hour and 10 minutes to get from Melbourne to the arts, the National Gallery. They didn't even drop me off at Flinders Street Station. So I did a bit of running, and I made it just in time for the bounce and missed the banner. Missed Jonesy going through the banner. So I was absolutely livid, but it's probably my own fault. Won't happen again this week. I guess I've got to get early. Maybe I'll take a cab.
Buses are never a good way.
No, I'm not going by bus again. I'll and I'm not going to drive myself. I might use an Uber, get to the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. Or go from... Are the Sandringham lines working? I mean, I'm sure this is fascinating radio, us talking train schedules.
I'll be checking on Monday morning, just to make sure.
You might have to go down to Ripponlea Station and go from there.
Yep.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. Train schedule, the Demonland podcast featuring this week's train schedule, brought to you by... I don't know, what are they called these days? It's not
Public
Metro.
Transport Victoria.
Yeah. Thanks, Public Transport Victoria. You really screwed up my my football experience last week. You owe me. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Grapevining. Thank you, James Harms. Thank you, Don't Make Me Angry. We'll be back next Wednesday night with Paul Ruse on the Demonland podcast. I might just mention, if you are listening to us via iTunes, give us a review, but only if it's positive. If you give us a 5-star review, we might even read it out on the podcast. That's you can find us on iTunes or on SoundCloud. Go Dees, big game.
Go Dees.